Thanks for tuning in here on the Secrecy Improv Festival YouTube channel. I am the director of the Secrecy Improv Festival, Aaron Campbell, and with me is Playback Reloaded. Be sure to check out on our website, secrecyImprovfest.com. Get your tickets, secretcityimprovfest.com/tickets. Throw us a few dollars to help put this party on. secretcityimprovfest.com/donate. We've got 7 shows with 18 professional troupes plus 5 high schools that'll be joining us at the Historic Grove Theater in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, September 30th and October 1st. And like I said, joining me right now is Playback Reloaded. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And I get to say hi because I'm a member of the troupe. So, let's go through and let's introduce ourselves. Of course, I'm Aaron. I'm one of the people in the troupe, and I'm also the director of the festival.
Hey guys, my name is Steve. Some people call me Stavros because that's my actual name. And please come see us, bring your stories, and see your stories as an improvised medium with us. We'd love to have you come and check us out.
I'm Michelle Castleberry, and that's all I got to say.
I'm Gloria Ledbetter, and to echo Stavros, would be really excited to see you all at Playback.
I'm Janet, and this is
Stan.
and
Reinholz, Reinholz, Z as in zebra. It's a weird name. And come see it. This is a lot of fun.
it has a little bit of music too.
All right, so Playback. Now, this is in the Secrecy Improv Festival. We feature many different types of improvisation. Playback is in the family, but it's the cousin, I guess, is the best way to describe it. So, for the people that may not know what Playback is or have never seen a Playback show, describe how would you describe Playback?
I see Playback as sort of a way to kind of express empathy. We get all kinds of stories from the audience, whether they're funny or they're serious, and seeing those stories that we tell, or they tell, the audience that they tell us, reenacted as a form of improv, kind of acts as a reflection of what they're feeling. And I think it's a great way to not only express empathy and honor towards the storyteller, but it's also a really interesting, unique way of kind of doing improv. We all have kind of stories to tell. We live a story. There's always a conflict. There's always a resolution. There's always characters and scenes and objects. And it's just a fantastic way to retell everything.
Yeah, and I think it's also, as you're saying, like part of that empathy, but there's also this element of almost like having your emotions processed in front of you. So a lot of times I think we have our own self-voice and we're trying to like process our emotions internally, but I think it's a really powerful tool to watch it get processed in front of you.
I would say it can also be a form of therapy.
Yeah.
I know for me, even in our rehearsals, when I've shared stories amongst friends that we've reenacted, there's been some healing because I was able to process it or laugh about it or cry through it and come out on the other side, and you know you're not alone in your stories. So I think Playback is not only fun, but it's very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets used in different types of group therapy as a way to work out things. And then, gosh, we've had moments on stage too. Probably one of the, and it's amazing. It gets brought up to me every so often. It's when we did Gatlinburg, and Chris Graff, from Blue Plate Special, had come down and talked about his sister having committed suicide, and that was what a moment to, you could just feel everybody in the theater like on edge.
Yeah.
And there's something about being able to pull that catharsis out that you just don't see that with any other type of improv. That you don't necessarily see that with any other type of improv, because short form or long form, you don't, unless they get a connected story. You don't have that potential of catharsis. I
Mhm.
It seems like they're always going for the laugh, which when people think of improv, that's what I used to think of. They're always going for the laugh. It's something to be funny, and there's something to be said for that for sure. We've had some great times.
Yeah, we do plenty of those.
Yes, we've reenacted some hilarious stories, but having that uniqueness of showing empathy, being cathartic, pulling out those serious stories. I remember a show we did, and the lady was from Iran, and she flew out the day before war broke out and did not get to see her family. And in her just telling that story, you could feel the audience like, wow, most of us have not faced that before. And it kind of brought us together. And I'll never forget, she teared up, and we went back to her and said, did that showcase your story? And she was like, that was perfect. It like to help her process going back and reliving what had happened to her.
Yeah,
And that was special.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful that people are willing to be that vulnerable with us and put that in our hands, and then we have to be the good stewards and caretakers of that vulnerability, which is a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
as an actor, when you get, because in a lot of improv you get, well, we just get a suggestion. Give me a place or a thing that fits inside your pocket. People get all that and then they build their whole thing out. This is completely different. So as an actor, when you go out to make a choice, you know, what are you listening for to make that? What are you going for to make a, you know, what are you kind of gravitating toward to make a choice on?
Everything from the details in the story to how they're feeling, specifically what type of emotions they're feeling. It's really important to pay attention. We get all kinds of stories, and it's that amalgamation of every element that they tell in the story that kind of helps make those choices, for me at least.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely gravitate towards an emotion because then I can transform that emotion into something more abstract or something different. So instead of just reenacting exactly what happened, I can process that emotion into something different. And that's more helpful and more entertaining because it's not so entertaining when you do the exact same thing they just said.
Figurative versus literal.
Exactly,
kind of,
yeah.
I know sometimes I'm looking for the thing that's kind of outside the box. Some forms of playback improv allow you to take on a different character in the story or even an object or a thing. And so a lot of times when I'm listening to their story, I'm thinking, ooh, what could I be? Could I be the car or their heart or whatever it might be? Which just gives another perspective to the story.
And then playback, you know, there's a lot of ways to portray out the story. So there's many different forms that people may, that a story may be broken into. So, you know, what are some of the forms that you all really like to do?
Gosh, I like them all, honestly. I've been doing playback for a few years, and I really like fluid sculpture, and I also like a little bit of challenge, narrative V, which is retelling somebody's story in like a fairy tale kind of fashion. I also really like, I like them all. Yeah, they're all great. I want to think of some new ones one day.
Chorus is the one that I really enjoy.
I like that one too.
You tell a story, and then people step out, and there's somebody else, and they add to it. Those, whether it's serious or whether it's funny, that's just the complete one for me.
Yeah, I think because I lean more towards the drama acting, I think Pairs is probably one of my favorites.
Mine too.
Because you really feel the emotions stronger that way, and there's lots of conflict, which is fun, and I don't know, it just feels more instinctual than having to like say it. I'm like in my head with a lot with other forms, and that one I feel like I can just kind of like flow more.
Yeah, you know, for me, I like to do pairs, and then just because you can really pull something out, and then I love to do an MST, usually not as the movement, usually not doing sound effects, but if I can jump in to do text, then I have time to think. Once I see the action as it happens, I hear the sound effects, then I can really put together whatever that in that time, whatever real kind of story that I can pull out of that.
I think you really do like that one. I'll never forget in a rehearsal, it was you and Terry Weber, and I don't remember what the story was, but after you guys did that, you just did a high five. It was great. I'll never forget that moment.
I think that was the one where I did the Olympics commercial, or
Something
the
like
play
that,
by play
yeah.
of the
Yeah,
Olympics or whatever.
Yeah.
I also really enjoy something that's unique to Playback is we have instruments and we have music and we use cloth and material to add to our stories. And Janet, you're just a vital piece of our team. And I think sometimes she even instinctively, if I'm trying to think or something, she'll put in a noise and I'm like, thanks, Janet. So I think I enjoy that part about it too, because we get to add a layer or a couple of layers to our improv that a lot of other teams don't get to utilize. And so having the instruments and the sound effects and the material often just helps us to get more into the character or do what we need to do to tell the story.
That's part of the challenge that I like in what Playback offers is that you have more tools at your disposal to add to your story. So sometimes you can show through the fabric and all this. You're mad, go grab a red piece of fabric, or if you're going to be moving around in a boat, you can grab a blue piece of fabric and show off water.
Or a big bowl full of alcoholic fruit.
Yes. What makes, well, we'll close on this. What makes a good story for somebody to tell in a playback situation? Now, granted, any story could come through, but what really makes for a good story?
Just seeing everybody work as a team to bring it to life. Just any story, really.
I would say a story that has good details. Sometimes the stories are really vague. It's like, okay, how am I gonna, like, I'm not inspired as much but when there's like really fun details, like a story you told today, where like, oh, at the end of the story, like I fell on the ground, in my back. I'm like, oh, that's a great fun detail, So details are really, I think, what makes a good story for me.
And when the storyteller gets into it, like they are excited to share their story, whether it's cathartic for them, whether it's bringing them some laughter, whatever it might be, when the storyteller really gets into their story and then also really gets into the feedback from us playing out their story, I think that's the best.
And sometimes it's almost like the opposite of that, because sometimes somebody's sitting there and they have a certain feeling, but they may not know why, but the conductor kind of asks questions and then it turns into something beautiful that they kind of figure it out. Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, and that's part of the conductor's job, is to get those more details,
Yes.
Well, I think that captures our story, doesn't it?
Yes.
So,
Story.
Bada bing.
So, be sure to check us out at SecretCityImprovFest.com. Find us on all the socials, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or, I don't know, random bathroom walls throughout Oak Ridge. Be sure to join us. You can see Playback during the 7 p.m. show on Friday, September 30th. Get your tickets now at SecretCityImprovFest.com/tickets. One day for $20, come for the whole weekend, and all the shows for $30, so good low ticket price. Come and be with us, and you can see Playback along with many, many, many other great acts like Einstein Simplified or Blue Play Special or Action Show or, I don't know, Mom and Dad Improv from Atlanta, any number. We've got 18 troops, plus we have 5 high schools that'll be with us. So we'll see you guys in September.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.